Special session for March 13th is now in session. I will conduct the opening prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance to the flags of the United States and the state of Texas. Okay. Dear Lord, we pray for our nation, our state, and our city. We pray for those countries that have been affected by the virus. As every country faces these gray skies, we ask that you separate the clouds and let the sun shine. We pray, dear God, that you bless the hands of those working on the vaccine, and with your blessing, we find peace in this crisis. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. There it is. Since it is a council meeting, I had requested that we also conduct a hearing to residents. So this time is set aside for any person that wishes to address the council. Each person should have signed the speaker's registration prior to the meeting. And I see that we do have one person that signed up, Ms. Maggie Titterington. For the record, could you please state your name and address?
Maggie Titterington, 1730 Schertz Parkway, the Chamber. Good evening, Council. I just wanted to give you a quick update and actually some encouragement about some measures that some of our local businesses are taking in the wake of what is going on. We did choose to reschedule the taste, and I'm very happy to say that all three cities have helped get the word out to everybody that we are scheduling it. It'll be June 25th, but we just felt in the wake of the announcement by the city of San Antonio, not because out of a sense of panic or anything, but because we did want to kind of abide by the 500 ban, and we knew we would have over 500 people, more closer to probably 1,000. And so Retama Park also agreed with us, as did the city of Selma. Also, we did have a military hiring affair, our MAC committee. We also did cancel that as well, which would be the 31st in the Schertz Civic Center. We let Jennifer Kolb know about that, who was our Schertz liaison in helping get this together. We felt also with the announcement that was made, a majority of the San Antonio businesses were going to kind of have their hands full in taking care of things within their companies. Also, the encouragement is 4 of our members reached out just to let us know, and we've been posting it online. Santikos actually sent out a release about all the measures that they're taking to make sure that our communities are safe as they go to the theaters. Things such as sanitizing the seats, the armrests, the cup holders after every show, nightly deep cleanings of all their auditoriums, their bathrooms, high traffic areas. All employees are frequently washing their hands. There's even some separation. Evo is doing separation of seats, and they're not scheduling as frequent movies. They're trying to make sure that, they're really diligent on the cleaning, but enhanced sanitations, extra soap. Team members are being regularly trained on food safety products. Chick-fil-A kind of went above and beyond, and actually their playground is closed at Chick-fil-A. That happened earlier this week. They are not using trays anymore. All dine-in orders are going to be bagged. Condiment stations are no more. Refills of drinks are all brand new cups. Not doing toy exchanges, removing anything on the tables, and they actually have an alarm every 15 minutes that goes off in the restaurant for the employees to go wash their hands every 15 minutes. They also invested in a Nexus system, which is in their air system, and it kills everything in the air. So just as an encouragement and as a way of, they wanted to let the cities know that they are working and that they take this seriously, and if there's anything else that they can do beyond this, just to let us know. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll continue with the only item that we have on the agenda, and that is a workshop. But before we proceed, I'd like to just say a couple words. Welcome, everyone, to our special City Council meeting. I want to make this perfectly clear that our city today does not have a confirmed virus or a case concerning the coronavirus COVID-19. This is not a declaration of emergency. This is just a declaration of preparedness. Containment will be our priority. We must take all precautions to prevent the spread of this virus. We will not drag our feet, and we will take action. Our city will find a balance between confronting this virus and ensuring our residents' civil liberties are not affected. Our community must be sensible and must remain calm. Our priorities will continue to be the safety, the health, and the well-being of our community. This session was requested to discuss the precautionary steps in order to confront the coronavirus COVID-19 issues facing our community and the steps we as a city will be implementing to evaluate and be evaluating daily. Our city staff will now provide our council and our public information regarding the initiatives we will be taking. Chief, it's all yours.
Thanks, Mayor, Council. I'm Cade Long, the Fire Chief and Emergency Management Coordinator for the city. Thanks for letting me start out with you, and I will pull this up. And again, just to reiterate, the Mayor, this is purely informational, that we're just wanting to provide some information and have some discussion up front. And so basically what we just starting here just to kind of give a quick overview, and there's a few of us that's going to come up and talk to you tonight, but just to point out that the President did today declare a national emergency, and just kind of to give a overview of the number of cases. So right now, as of today, when I checked the numbers, there's 137,385 cases worldwide. In the United States, there's 1,323, and in Texas, there's 39 confirmed cases as of today. I would point out that, what it also shows in the U.S. number is it is, growing by around 200 a day at this point. So that's, important to take note of and look at. Some of the state you've seen today, the governor did declare an emergency today as well. And also additional testing, he talked about that they're going to try it out in San Antonio first, but some type of drive-through testing capability that's going to be coming to the area. And then also, the other thing we had talked about, or the governor talked about, was just, limiting visitation. So we're talking about daycares, hospitals, nursing homes, just to limit those visitations and those exposures as much as we can. Locally, going on to the next one we seen today as well, and San Antonio had their first confirmed case today. The mayor of San Antonio has declared a public health emergency today. We also seen that Fiesta has been moved to later in the year. Most of the area schools we've seen today have also extended their spring break for an additional week, and that'll give them some time to gather some more facts and look at some more information before they decide what they're going to do going forward. Something else that San Antonio was also looking at, limiting large gatherings by more than 500 people. And then of course our goal in Schertz was to be proactive and try to get out in front of things. And so, our view of what we're kind of giving an overview here today is what gets us to that point that we're minimizing transmissions amongst citizens. And so we feel like also, we want to have a, model the behavior that they're putting out. And so we feel like kind of what we're going to talk about today here kind of covers those two things. I mean, those are kind of the two most important things when you kind of look at the why of what we're looking at here with the COVID-19. And then I will turn it over to Jason.
Mayor, Council, I think the public is probably all saying, why are we doing this? And from the healthcare standpoint, what we saw in Italy is we want to flatten the curve. In Italy, you can see without protective measures, the number of cases grew too fast for them, and it overwhelmed their healthcare system. They ran out of ventilators in their hospitals, and that's absolutely what we do not want to do here. It could easily overwhelm our healthcare system, and that's what we don't want to do. So we want to flatten the curve. You've heard that. And that's that second curve here. If we reduce the number of people by 500, you're going to see this flattening, and the healthcare system can actually handle that a lot better as opposed to this big curve up front. Italy, we've heard some horror stories that they ran out of ventilators and they had to choose on who gets a ventilator and who doesn't. I will tell you, in our region, we are doing weekly counts on these types of machines, and all the hospitals as well. We definitely want to be prepared for this. So we have not seen an increase in flu-type calls in our service area, and we still have not been notified of anybody in our service area that is on self-quarantine, though. Mr. James, I think he's next.
So, Mayor, Council, in our current business facilities, City Hall, Public Safety Buildings, Commercial Place, we have increased our cleaning daily. So we have our contracted services typically. The general services has already gone in and they perform an additional cleaning, wiping down the surfaces, places where it touched the counters, 311, inspections. And so we've already started that, as well as we've distributed cleaning supplies throughout the cities for employees to use in between the two formal cleanings. So we've increased that. We started that actually last week. For the Civic Center and Park Pavilions, we'll continue to work with staff for those events that are scheduled. As long as we can clean adequately between the scheduled events, we'll continue to maintain those facilities and keep those open for those that have been rented already. And we think we can do that. We have the cleaning supplies on hand to do that, as well as the staff. Or some of the support services facilities, starting Monday at 8, we recommend that we close those for 7 days. That will allow us to get in and do some additional cleaning of those specific facilities. Is the library. We're going to leave that open this weekend because we know a lot of our residents are getting additional reading material, videos for their families with the school districts closed next week, trying to provide some of those last-minute services, as well as when we close the senior center, or it's actually closed over the weekend, but instead of opening up on Monday, trying to take care of some of our residents. We will continue to look for options to provide meal service later on the week because we know a lot of them rely heavily on that. So we'll be very sensitive to some of those support services that we provide and seeing how we can maximize that. But in those facilities, we have a lot of residents who are more susceptible to COVID-19. We want to get in there and do some deep cleaning with our staff so that they're prepared to reopen as soon as we possibly can. Now, James, if you want.
Brian James, Assistant City Manager. So I think in line with what Maggie talked about a bit with the Chamber having to revisit some of their events, we're obviously doing the same thing. Again, you heard what Chick-fil-A did with their playground equipment, and so we've approached it the same way. So we have a couple of city events that we decided in the interest of this, we're going to go ahead and cancel. One is the Star Party, March 28th, and that's folks showing up out at Crescent Bend. They all share and look through telescopes. Although those are wiped down, that's probably not the best thing we want to have folks sort of doing for that. The big one, though, is Moving on Main, April 5th. As you know, we get a big crowd out for that. But again, as with a lot of places, you want to try to avoid bringing a lot of people together for that stuff. So we're going to cancel that. You know, if we can look at redoing something in the fall or moving it, we'll certainly look at that. We have a couple of things that either due to the short notice and nature of it, we're going to keep doing. So the Nature Discovery Series tomorrow morning at Crescent Bend doesn't tend to draw a real big crowd. It's out in the open. You can kind of minimize some contact, at social distance. The other is we've got obviously the community cleanup going on. Again, that's folks coming with stuff, tends to be picked out of a vehicle, truck, and disposed of. Same thing with Shred Day as well, again, to limit the contact outdoor. And so from our perspective, that's how we're going to approach it for now. As we continue on, we will look forward and kind of go from there. We've got a movie in the park as well into this month. And so again, as we revisit on a weekly basis, that may be something that, again, because of the big crowd, that we look to cancel as well going forward. But the idea is to kind of look out a week on the smaller events and then look out, a month on everything going forward. And so that's where we are at this point. Revisit it from there. So again, Charles.
Yeah, and this is kind of a partnership. So we kind of went, here's our goal, we think, from the city staff perspective and recommendation for council to consider. You heard from Jason, we want to level the curve. We want to model those behaviors that are best practices that we've seen to prevent further spread of COVID-19. We want to be part of the solution. We don't want to be part of the problem. We're very considerate. We don't want to generate an inadvertent message of safety on some of these facilities where there's potential mass gatherings. We don't want to continue to have them open. Folks think they're safe when they may not be because we can't clean them fast enough or a number of times throughout the day, because as soon as we get done cleaning and somebody comes in, they potentially could be susceptible at that point. So by closing a few of these, we'll be able to focus, get some deep cleaning on there, and then maintain those facilities that we do keep open with the staff that we have. And then we'll continue to address the situation on a daily and weekly basis. We'll continue to provide Dr. Brown and the mayor daily updates, and then y'all as it comes available. So that's kind of why we really wanted to have this meeting, is we're posturing preemptively to respond if need be. There's no documented case that we are aware of today in our community, and we just want to be proactive. That's all we have for formalized comments that are prepared. If you have any questions, please let us know.
Council, floor is open for discussion.
Mayor, can I just?
Yes.
Okay, so just to summarize, we're going to close the library on Monday for 7 days. We're going to close the senior center on Monday for 7 days. Then next Friday, we will make another determination whether to extend that or to reopen. And so we plan to do that on a weekly basis until and unless we have other data that causes us to take different action. But that's our plan, and then those two Parks and Rec events to cancel at this time. And that's really what we see as the main things. All of our parks will remain open, until things progress any further. So that's where we are.
Councilman Dalla?
Just real quick on the senior center. Yes, we do have the obligation to support those seniors, and with the meal program, have we looked at maybe just setting it up as like bag lunches to go type things where they could just pick it up and go?
Some of the challenges we have on that, again, a couple of things. One is it's the nature of the meals that we bring in. They're typically hot meals, so there's some concern how long those sit, how they get them home, can they transport them. Obviously, what we'll likely do is try to work with the vendor that provides those to say, hey, we're changing operations. Can you get us something that's more easy for folks to take home, that may be shelf-stable, something like that. So again, we understand the importance of that. We've talked about, having somebody basically run out to the car as it pulls up and drop off. But again, we don't want to promise if we can't do it safely. But certainly we understand that, our seniors rely on it. And I will say this, that we have also talked about sort of scaling it back, that it's, a lot of folks come and it's the social, it's the fun, it's, hey, I get the meal, but they're not really relying on it. and again, maybe kind of shift to those who really need the meal. Again, kind of more manageable levels, things like that. So we'll just have to work through it.
All right, thank you.
Councilman? Yes, Councilman.
Yeah, I just want to say thanks for keeping it within reason. And seriously, I was concerned that we were going to go a little bit too far over the edge. So this is all makes great sense. Again, like Councilman Dolly, the senior center, a little concern there, but I know that's a work in progress. But everything else makes sense. So thanks.
Councilmember Haywood?
And thank you for putting this together. And like too, with the seniors and knowing sometimes with them, isolation tends to be an issue for some of them. But if there's a way to those that are getting the meals, if we can switch it to lunch bag or maybe change the hours so that they can come in and get lunch and then leave, would that be a possibility as well?
So I think, the concern we've got, and this was a tough decision because you're right, we've got a lot of seniors that this is their way to sort of socialize and do things like that, and I'll certainly look to Kate and Jason, but, seniors tend to be a very susceptible population. They're the ones who struggle the most, and so while, not to minimize the impacts of social isolation, but particularly till we know how long it goes on, I think the bigger concern, and frankly, this was the discussion we had, how do we deal with it, the fact that no, out of that, we left the facility open, there was a transmittal that occurred there, and we had a senior from our community pass away because they got it from the facility. To us, that sort of trumped everything else. And so, again, likely what we'll do is work with the Y who operates it to say, hey, can we be calling our seniors and checking on them? Can we reach out via email? Again, if we're not open in the facility, there are all those things we can do to kind of stay in contact. And again, understanding the meal, even swinging by and picking up. Again, we are going to work very hard to do that. Till I know I can do it right and safely, I can't promise it.
Thank you.
Councilmember Davis?
You bring up a good point. Have we, what level of discussions have we had with the Y with regard to activities in our community center and maintaining a slightly higher standard of cleanliness with exercise equipment and things along those lines?
So we have had discussions with the Y about it. So we've called and been in contact and said, hey, they are obviously looking at it as well. At this point, a bit what we've sort of said is they are going through the same sort of exercises and activities of increased cleaning and things like that. They've canceled some of their programming or additional things, the Easter at the natatorium, they've canceled for those purposes. So, they are keenly aware of it. We will continue to be in contact. At this point, we're deferring to them because we license the facility to them, a national organization, but it's certainly a conversation that they are communicating about how they do these things and how they do them safely. And obviously, as Charles said, we're going to monitor that, see what kind of happens, see what additional guidance comes out before we step in. I will say we have a very good relationship with them, and so I think we are aligned in this effort. I think they're just going through the same thing, and they've not made that decision yet to close. But certainly, as you heard from Maggie with businesses, they've indicated they've ramped up.
Thank you.
Any others? Any other comments? I just want to say that, no, what we're trying to do is minimize the spread. Should we ever have a confirmed case, we're trying to minimize the spread of this virus. That's why we're trying to take all these precautionary measures and also provide the public a sense of awareness of what we're trying to do here. We want to remain calm. We don't want to panic, but we are taking precautionary steps. We are discussing this on the daily and making decisions also, like it was said, on weekly basis. We will evaluate exactly where we stand. Should things change, I'm sure that we'll bring that awareness to the public also. With that, Dr. Brown, any other comments?
Yeah, so the other thing is messaging for our employees, and so we've been discussing that for the last couple of days, and with the school district closing next week, and we're no different than any other business in our area because everybody's facing that, but we're going to make every effort to work with our employees. If folks have to work from home and they have to take care of their kids and they just can't on short notice find childcare, we're going to work with them. If they're in public safety and they have to be at work, we're going to do our best to accommodate those needs. So we'll be sending something out to them. And so I just wanted to assure you that we do have their interests at heart, and we're working to take care of them also.
Thank you, Dr. Brown. With that, I want to thank every council members for coming. Oh, Councilman Dalla, you have an extra comment?
Yeah, just, I know the city's been putting out information and updates of what's going on, and I've just encouraged that we continue to do that. Fear is a big thing out there. Where I work, we're seeing unprecedented responses to what's going on with purchasing and hoarding. And if we continue to push accurate and timely information, and maybe we can help prevent some of that and encourage people to be prepared, but not to overreact to situation that is definitely concerning. But at this point, it's not in our community that we know of yet. So just appreciate everybody's efforts on that. Thank you.
Okay. I just want to go ahead and just thank the council for coming in and during this emergency meeting. And I'd like to thank all of you for showing up also, so that you can be aware that our city is working through this. Thank you all. We stand adjourned. It is now 6:27.